Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now today it is a lovely day here in Ireland, which is rare, but yeah, today I'm here to talk about my lovely car. This is my lovely car. I just purchased this literally less than a week ago, and like I said, I'm gonna make a video about it. Now, to be fair, this car was parked up for 3 years, but like every car guy, if you find a car for a great deal, you will eventually buy it because why not? But anyway, let's get into the video and let me show you what I've actually bought. Now, to start off this video, this is a Seat Leon FR with the 1.9 TDI PD150 ARL. Now, this is really rare here in Ireland, not just because it's an FR and with the PD150, but because of the colour. As far as I know, and do correct me if I'm wrong, this is probably the only one that's actually in running working order. Here in Ireland anyway. There's two blue ones that I know of. There was one that was crashed about a month ago and it was basically a total write-off. And there is another one, it's very clean. I don't know exactly where it is, but there is another one somewhere and it's actually really nice. Definitely not looking like this, but I mean, it was just a quality issue with Volkswagen in general for their yellow and red paints, as far as I know. My grandma's 96 Passat that was red had the exact same issue, but it was much worse. So, why did I buy this? Well, as you guys know, that's my daily. That car, my parents bought me for 500 euros 4.5 years ago, and it has never missed a beat. And, well, it has the notorious 1.4 16 valve, the non-turbo one, obviously. Yeah, these engines are notorious for many things and none of them are good. But unfortunately, I am starting to hear lower end bearing noises. It does have piston slap, and that's how I bought the car. That has actually not gone worse, but the engine is known for it, and I'm just going to give it to my sister for her to learn to drive on it. There will be another video on this car just to show like what I've done to it, things that have gone wrong with it over the 4.5 years I've owned it. And honestly, it was the best purchase or the best car for the money of my life, and it will probably never happen again. But this video is not about this, but about this absolute unit of a lovely car. I'm being extremely sarcastic here, as you can see the paint is, well, quite gone, and unfortunately that's a common theme around this car. You have whole front end of it. The bumper was just, I don't know, crashed into or bumped into or something, I don't know what, but it was green. And if you come around the back, you can see that there's more lacquer peel, and obviously it's a diesel because, well, soot. But yeah, it's a theme around this whole car. On the roof as well. But I haven't touched it. I literally haven't touched it, other than the boost pipe that I just changed, so it can be more or less drivable and not make 40 horsepower. Yeah, that was an interesting drive. But anyway, let's hop on into this absolute unit of a car. So yeah, I've not cleaned this. This is how it was when I got into it and looked at it 1.5 months ago. As you can see, still plenty of cobwebs around, and well, there's a leak coming from like behind the dash from the cowl. That's just moss. That's not mold, that's just moss. And I mean, more cobwebs, as you can see, but all around it's actually not too bad in here. Now, this steering wheel is out of a Mark II Leon, as you can, well, maybe you might recognize it, But yeah, this is not the original steering wheel, and it does actually have buttons. You will I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh, you're able to see it here. But yeah, this was just plastered down with carbon fiber stickers or vinyl or whatever you want to call it, because well, this car didn't come from factory with steering wheel control, so it is absolutely useless in this car. But it is very nice. It's leather, and it feels great. So, what is it like in here? Well, I mean, it's nice. It's actually not too bad. There's obviously some mold from being parked up for 3.5 years, but basically everything works. This kind of works. It does have dual zone climate control, but I mean, the LCD is just feeling really sorry for itself. It's only €10 and it's really easy to replace, so that's not going to be a problem. I'm going to make a video about that when I start fixing this car up. Other than that, honestly, I mean, it's a nice 6-speed. This is kind of worn down, so I'm just going to get a different one, maybe the factory one, but I'm going to get a different shift knob. I do believe these have like a pin, so it doesn't actually just twist off. At least that's what it's like in my car, but I don't know about this. But it has a nice radio. That's actually really, really nice. The speakers in this are surprisingly nice. Just don't mind that crack. It's not too bad. And for the price I paid, it's actually really, really nice. Full service history, and apparently got a new engine 110,000 kilometers ago. Don't know if that's a used engine, but if it's a new engine, then I'm very, very, very happy with it. It does have, like I said, dual zone climate control, obviously AC. It does have a cup holder, and the reason why that's such a big deal is because if this car had heated seats, then the switches would be here. This switch would be the whole length of this, and you actually wouldn't get a cup holder. As far as I know. Again, do correct me if I'm wrong, but that's as far as my knowledge goes. The glove box is actually, well, laughable. It's enough for this to fit in, which is great, but then this is just, well, really, really small. Now, this actually, that's the button for the fuel filler flap, and then that's the traction control button. Now, the reason why that's such a big deal is because that was actually an option in this car. From factory in the, what was the base model? I think it was called the Stella. That was the trim level. It was an option in the more higher level cars. As far as like other little bits and pieces, the PD150, that was an engine that only came in the FR Cupra R. Same thing with the 1.8 T20 valve. That only came in the FR and Cupra R. And there's a couple little bits and pieces. Like this gauge cluster. I don't know if there was a different cluster for the Cupra or Cupra R, but I know that everybody really wants these white clusters, because the black ones, I will say, look absolutely horrific. And if we get into the back here, well, it's not very spacious. And one more thing I forgot to mention was the two front seats are electric with memory for the driver, and you have bolster adjustment. That's actually quite nice, and it works. So let me just attempt to squeeze my 6-foot self in. Do you know what? I think I could get away with this. But the thing is, I do not have any more leg room, so I actually cannot slouch down, which means that my head basically hits the roof. Don't think I would want to be back here for a long time. But I mean, it's a small car, it's a small hatchback. Wasn't meant to be a family car. But you can fit, well, I could definitely move forward. You can probably fit 4 adults in here for a small while. Not for a very long road trip, but for a small while. Another thing to mention here is this car has an alarm system from factory, which again is quite rare. That there, that button over there, if you can see it, that is the switch to turn it on and off. Honestly, for what it is, it's actually not too bad. Now, coming around to the outside for a second, these wheels are hard. These are terrible, and this is how the previous owner bought it. If you come around to the back here, the struts actually work, which I'm pretty sure they're not factory. There's not a chance they're factory because they just wouldn't work. Also, there's no spare wheel. And one of the covers, or not covers, one of the plugs, this is not the plug, I thought this was it, but that's the road underneath. Yeah, I should probably get one. And maybe a spare wheel. Although it's not actually necessary for inspection in Ireland to pass it. So I'll get a tyre repair kit and that should be fine. I mean, as long as I have a way to have a spare wheel. Well, not a spare wheel, but a way to like actually repair the tyre. It should be fine. Now, to open up the bonnet, you first have to curse whoever broke the handle off the latch. And then you get your needle nose pliers. And, well, before that, you open the bonnet. Kind of. You lift the bonnet a small bit. You then look where the latch was. And you open it up with your needle nose pliers. Come on. There we go. And the strut actually works here as well. I would have not guessed it. But this is really clean. Like, really, really, really clean. There's small oil. I don't know if that's an oil leak, but I mean, the rest of the engine honestly looks pretty solid. Now, this was off because the battery was dead. Obviously, it was sitting for 3 years, so has a new one in, well, used one in there, but it works. And when I collected the car, this hose here, this coolant line, which then goes, that one there, that goes onto a fitting, and the end of the line was actually fully swollen, and it actually popped off the moment I started the engine. So yeah, I had to do a bit of a fix for that. But I'll be replacing all the coolant lines anyway, with nice silicone ones. Now, like I mentioned, I had to replace the boost pipe, which is that fella there. Let me just put up a picture of what it was like before, because it was beyond gone. No, God! And when I drove this home, everything felt fine. The brake discs are, well, fairly shot, because when you press the pedal, there was a massive shake. So I'm just gonna get, honestly, probably all new calipers, brake discs and pads. A couple other little bits and pieces that I'm gonna get for it is a full AirTech intercooler with a hard pipe kit and an EGR delete. So that will take care of the terrible boost leak and turbo pipe issues that these cars usually had. However, I will try to do a little fix to make sure that it kind of sealed as good as it can until I get the new intercooler anyway. So, what are my plans for this car? Before anything, I need to make sure that it is mechanically sound. I need to make sure that everything is perfect, and that will include fluid changes, time belt kit and tensioners, any serpentine belts. As you can see, the belt is, well, this is actually not too bad, but there are bigger bits missing from this belt. So I am going to change that. Obviously all filters, the brakes, like I said, I will probably get all new disc all around. I will, and pads and probably calipers, because they're not that expensive. So it's honestly worth it in the long run. For suspension, I will be getting some nice Bilstein shocks, sport shocks, some nice Eibach lowering springs. The front is lowered on some springs. They're red. I don't know what it is. There's no branding or anything on it. The back is not lowered. It's still on stock suspension. I don't know what the springs are like, and honestly, I'm just going to change it. Now, I do believe that there are some bushings that might be gone, but honestly, I'm just going to polybush the whole car. It's going to be an absolute pain, but it will be worth it in the long run. The exhaust, as far as I know, is decatted, but apparently it's not great. I haven't had time to look under the car, but I'm just going to get some nice, what is it called? Scorpion? I think it's called Scorpion exhaust. Obviously, the car needs a wash. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to be obviously doing. That's going to be one of the first things I'm going to do. Same thing on the inside. And I'm probably going to get some nice tints. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they are already tinted a small bit. However, it's not really tinted. So I'm going to just get new tints all around for all the windows. Also, I think not all of the heating elements are actually, well, heating. So I might just later on, this is actually the original rear windscreen. So I think what I might do is just get a new front and rear windscreen at some point in time. Don't know when, but at some point in time, and that'll be quite nice. Also, I do not like the look of the rear windscreen wiper. I usually don't like it when people delete them, but on this car I don't think it will be that necessary since it's really sloping anyway. So I'm just going to put Rain-X on it. That's going to help it, and I don't think there's going to be any real reason for me to keep this. And it's going to have a nice clean look to it. It's just going to be all around nicer. Another thing is, I'm just going to get some nice LED lights where I can, but honestly, a nice set of Osram Nightbreaker 200s are actually pretty nice solution for H7 headlights. They're not legal usually anyway, and they kind of can be finicky, and it's hard to find good quality ones. So I think I might just get some really nice halogen lights for the front headlights, and for the rest of the car I will probably try to subsidize it as they're not focus lights or beams. I will get some nice LEDs that I can anyway. Also, the interior lights, they have LEDs in them and they're not really working. Well, they kind of are, but they kind of aren't. So I am going to change those as well. Now, one of the things I said was there's a leak into the passenger footwell. That's a really common issue, and it's a really simple fix. That shouldn't be too bad to fix. That's honestly the biggest thing that is currently wrong with this car. Other than the boost pipe, that was just a very quick and easy fix. That should be fairly easy, I think, but I'm going to do more research on that. But yeah, that's really all it. That's an introduction to my new purchase. It's not bad. It's rough around the edges, but again, it was really cheap. Like, really cheap, and honestly, it was worth every penny. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. There's nothing more really to say, and then anything I do, I'm just going to make a video about it. So, thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please press the like button, consider subscribing. I will put all my socials in the description below. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and have a great day and a great weekend. Take care. Models popping bottles.